St. Louis, Missouri, on a cold winter night in 1949. Upstairs in a small suburban house, a bizarre ritual is taking place. Catholic priests pray over a screaming, cursing boy. A boy they believe is possessed by the devil. The boy's ordeal inspires a movie so frightening that paramedics and ambulances stand by at theaters to deal with cases of hysteria.
The Exorcist.
The movie is fiction, but our story is true. It's based on long-lost journals and the memories of an old priest who was there. The Exorcist hits the big screen in 1973.
Something beyond comprehension is happening to a little girl on this street. In this house, a man has been sent for as a last resort to try and save her.
People line up around the block to see it, then throw up and faint in the theaters. They rush back to religion. Catholic churches report a sudden run on the confessional. People want forgiveness for their sins. Author William Peter Blatty, writer of the movie and the novel on which it was based, is astonished by the reaction.
Suddenly it occurred to those of faith, weak or strong, that, you know, there might be demons, there might be punishment.
His story about a priest who drives Satan from a malevolent child is inspired by a real exorcism that took place half a century ago. The Exorcist is a 52-year-old Roman Catholic priest in St. Louis, Missouri. William Bowder is respected for his kindness and charity. Over 25 years in the priesthood, he has earned a reputation for tenacity.
He was kind of like a bulldog. If he'd get a hold of something, he'd follow it to the very end.
He receives a call from a longtime friend, fellow priest Raymond Bishop. He relates a story that seems preposterous. A woman suspects that something evil has taken control of her teenage son. Can Bowder, with his experience and Jesuit education, help? Instead of dismissing the woman as a crank, Father Bowder makes a house call.
He's not himself.
He meets the distraught parents at a small house in St. Louis and learns about their troubled son, Richard.
Thank you for coming.
Tell me about Richard.
Things are happening to him. Things we don't understand. I'm frightened.
Bowden calmly takes her back to the beginning. The mother describes an ordinary, happy, close-knit family. Richard, an only child, has never been in any trouble.
My sister-in-law Millie came for a visit in January. She and Richard were always very close.
Let me show you how to use the Ouija board. Okay.
She brought him one of those talking boards, a Ouija board.
Like the spirits moving. Like this? That's right.
Millie and Richard spent hours playing with it, trying to make contact with spirits in the beyond.
Can you hear us?
Spiritualism is essentially the belief that not only when we die, does the soul go on to some kind of afterlife existence, but that it's possible for communication to take place between the living and the dead.
January 15th, the first mysterious sign. A steady, dripping sound.
It came and went every night for 7 or 8 nights.
There are no leaky faucets. The family is baffled. On January 26th, the family learns Millie has suddenly died.
She wasn't sick. We didn't expect it. Richard was devastated. It was the first time someone close to him had died.
In the days that follow, the nighttime thumps and tappings increase.
It's upstairs.
Yeah.
Better go see.
They suspect mice, but an exterminator finds nothing. The family wonders about the paranormal. Could this be the work of poltergeists, the noisy ghosts of legend and folklore?
The thought crossed my mind that it was Millie, the spiritualist, trying to make contact from beyond. One night, a holy picture rattled on the wall, as if it was being thumped from behind. It wasn't Richard playing a prank. He was in bed.
It starts off with lots of phenomena which are interpreted in terms of possibly poltergeist activity. So it's alleged that objects are thrown around the room or fly around the room. It's claimed that there are mysterious sounds which people can't explain.
This unsettling and surreal activity suddenly takes a frightening turn. It moves out of the walls and into Richard's bed. It seems to have a life of its own.
We took him to the doctor. He couldn't find anything wrong. He said Richard was just high-strung.
That is a term, that we still use today, but it doesn't connote good mental health. It indicates someone who has anxiety, maybe depression, but certainly irritability and anxiety.
I thought about it, and it looks like a normal case of a rambunctious boy going through puberty.
But it's not just him. We all saw it. Then the marks started coming on his body. What is it? Let me see.
It begins on February 26th, a month after Millie's death.
Is there a spirit in this house?
We tried to contact Millie on the Ouija board. It says yes.
The whole family accepted this belief, and no doubt when the aunt actually passed on, they were expecting some kind of communication from beyond the grave.
If you're Millie, prove it.
There's a response, not on the Ouija board, but again on Richard's body.
Richard, not again.
Long, burning welts appear on his legs.
Here.
Richard's desperate parents now consider the unthinkable. Perhaps their son is in the grip of something demonic. They turn to their pastor, a Lutheran.
Let's pray.
Psychiatry and science and medicine could not give them the answers they were looking for, and it didn't change Richard's behavior one iota. So they abandoned science because science couldn't help them at that time.
Our Father,
But neither could the minister.
Evangelical Lutherans, which this boy's family was, do not have any history of dealing with possession and exorcism at all. But he knew that Catholics knew.
The minister's advice? Find a Catholic priest.
If we accept the case at face value, as it's often presented, then it seems to include lots and lots of elements which characterise possession cases.
Do you think it could be?
Read in the prayers tomorrow night and see what happens.
Thank you, Father.
The next day, Father Bowden returns to Richard's home. This time he brings a witness, the priest who was contacted by the family, Father Raymond Bishop.
Hello, Richard.
Hello, Father.
I'm Father Bowden. How do you do? Father Bishop. How are you feeling?
Okay.
Good. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to recite for you what's called a novena.
Okay.
So we'll start like this. Most amiable and most loving Saint Francis Xavier, in union with thee, I reverently...
Oh.
What is it?
My chest.
Oh, my goodness. Do you want this to stop? I implore thee to obtain for me the greatest blessing of all, that of living and dying in a state of grace.
The prayers continue from midnight until dawn, when Richard falls into a fitful sleep. The exhausted priests return to their rectory. The next day, Bowden makes a daunting and ominous decision. The boy is possessed by the devil. The kind and gentle parish priest must do battle with the prince of evil. He must become an exorcist.
Alaska.